Are you tired of ordinary pizza? Pizza made with understandable ingredients. Pizza served by people who refuse to explain the emotional journey of the flour? Then visit the authentic pizza experience, where dinner is not merely eaten. It is interpreted. Our dough is prepared using heritage grain harvested beneath a full moon by a farmer named Lorenzo, who has not smiled since 1987. Each crust is fermented for 96 hours inside a temperature-controlled room where employees speak only in respectful whispers. Our tomatoes are grown on a hillside facing Naples. Not in Naples. That would be affordable. Near Naples. Close enough for marketing. Every basil leaf is selected by hand, inspected for symmetry, and placed on the pizza by a certified culinary leaf positioning specialist. Our mozzarella comes from emotionally supported buffalo who receive daily affirmations and absolutely no information regarding the restaurant industry. Try our signature margherita. Tomato. Mozzarella. Basil. $38. For an additional $12, our server will tell you the Queen Margherita story without mentioning that historians have questions. Feeling adventurous? Order the deconstructed working class experience. 1 burnt crust. 3 drops of tomato sauce. A single anchovy. And a handwritten note explaining that poverty is the original seasoning. Only $54. Cheese is extra. Plates are extra. Chairs are available through our premium seating subscription. And please remember, we do not cut the pizza. Cutting disturbs the gluten's personal boundaries. We do not offer delivery. The pizza must travel emotionally before it can travel physically. We do not accept substitutions. Our chef considers personal preference an attack on Italian sovereignty. The authentic pizza experience, where the portions are historic, the prices are criminal, and the waiter says actually before every sentence. Reservations are available now. Tables are not.
Disclaimer. This documentary is presented for educational, historical, cultural, analytical, and entertainment purposes. It does not claim that every pizza origin story repeated for the last 200 years is completely true, because apparently food history has more disputed testimony than a federal racketeering trial. Some stories in this documentary, including the famous Queen Margherita legend, remain debated by historians. Where the evidence is uncertain, that uncertainty is acknowledged. Where the story is suspiciously perfect, we have politely raised an eyebrow. This documentary does not insult Naples, Italy, Italian Americans, ancient bread makers, tomato growers, pizza delivery drivers, frozen pizza manufacturers, traditional pizzaioli, or people who believe pineapple belongs on pizza. That last group is already dealing with enough. Historical descriptions of poverty, immigration, prejudice, violence, and discrimination are included because they are part of the documented story. They are not presented to glorify suffering, romanticize hardship, or pretend every old street in Naples looked like a charming postcard with an accordion player wandering through it. No statement should be interpreted as a formal accusation of criminal conduct beyond what has been publicly documented, litigated, or historically reported. Market values, restaurant counts, and pizza consumption statistics vary depending on the source, year, serving size, crust thickness, and whether somebody quietly ate 2 slices while insisting they only had 1. This documentary does not officially determine which city makes the best pizza. We enjoy living. Viewer discretion is advised for historical violence, immigrant persecution, culinary snobbery, disputed legends, and the horrifying possibility that humanity spent thousands of years inventing civilization just so somebody could put mayonnaise and squid on a pizza. This is history. This is commentary. This is the Pizzaverse. And we do not serve bland.
Pizza, the poor man's food that conquered the world. From ancient flatbread to a global empire. A Pizzaverse Studios documentary. A Palermo Productions original. Written and created by Bambi Palermo. Narrated by Vincent Vinny DiPrio. Produced by Pizzaverse Studios and Palermo Productions. Historical research, commentary, and analysis by Bambi Palermo. Pizza. Today it arrives in cardboard boxes, frozen supermarket aisles, school cafeterias, luxury restaurants, gas stations, sports arenas, and late-night kitchens where somebody has already made several questionable decisions. It can be ordered with 3 taps on a phone. It can be delivered in less than 30 minutes. It can cost $5, $50, or apparently the refinancing of a small condominium if somebody places truffles on top. It is eaten at birthday parties, business meetings, family gatherings, football games, political campaign offices, and government buildings during moments when officials are working late and pretending everything is completely under control. Pizza is so common that it barely seems to require an explanation. But beneath the cheese, tomato, oil, and dough is a story stretching across thousands of years. It begins with prehistoric communities grinding wild grain into flour. It passes through ancient Mediterranean kitchens, Spanish voyages, Mesoamerican agriculture, Neapolitan poverty, royal mythology, mass migration, racial prejudice, industrial machinery, frozen food, global franchising, and eventually outer space. This is not simply the story of a recipe. It is the story of survival. It is the story of poor people taking the cheapest ingredients available and creating something the wealthy would eventually claim to have discovered. It is the story of immigrants carrying a piece of home across an ocean while entering a country that often treated them with suspicion, contempt, and violence. It is the story of technology transforming a local street food into a global industry. And it is the story of how a dish once considered greasy, vulgar, and unfit for respectable society became one of the most recognizable foods on earth. The wealthy dismissed it. The working class depended on it. Immigrants preserved it. Soldiers carried the taste home. Corporations industrialized it. And the entire planet ate it. So pull up a chair. Fold the slice if you know what you are doing. Keep the fork and knife away from the evidence. Because today we are investigating how a flattened piece of bread from the streets of Naples built a global empire. This is pizza, the poor man's food that conquered the world. Bread before pizza. Long before Naples, Italy, tomatoes, mozzarella, or arguments over pineapple, there was bread. Thousands of years ago, communities throughout the ancient Near East learned to grind wild grains, mix them with water, and cook the resulting dough on heated stones. Archaeologists working at Shubayka 1 in present-day Jordan have uncovered evidence of flatbread made more than 14,000 years ago. That means people were baking bread thousands of years before farming became widespread. These early flatbreads were not pizza in any modern sense. They were survival food. Dense, portable, adaptable. They could be cooked on hot stones, pressed against the walls of simple ovens, or placed directly into the ashes of a fire. No refrigeration. No commercial yeast. No complicated equipment. No delivery fee mysteriously larger than the price of the meal. Just grain, water, and heat. In the ancient world, bread was not an appetizer. It was life insurance. It carried people through harsh seasons, long journeys, wars, and failed harvests. Once human beings learned to make flatbread, they almost immediately began adding other ingredients. Ancient Egyptians produced many different kinds of bread, sometimes mixed or flavored with herbs, oils, dates, or seeds. In the Greek world, people ate flatbreads such as plakis, which could be topped or layered with cheese, herbs, oil, and honey. Naples itself began as a Greek settlement. Its name comes from Neapolis, meaning new city. The Greeks brought their language, architecture, trade, and food traditions into southern Italy. The Romans continued experimenting with bread, cheese, oil, and baked dough. During the 2nd century BCE, the Roman statesman Cato the Elder described a dish called placenta, made from layers of dough, cheese, and honey. It was not pizza. It was closer to a distant relative who keeps insisting the family resemblance is obvious. Still, dishes like placenta show that people throughout the ancient Mediterranean were already combining flatbread with toppings and fillings. There is also a famous legend claiming that Persian soldiers serving under King Darius the Great baked flatbread on their shields and topped it with cheese and dates. The story is repeated constantly. The evidence behind it is considerably less impressive. Historians generally treat it as folklore rather than established fact. But whether the soldiers used shields, stones, or the nearest available piece of military cookware, the broader idea remains plausible. Bread topped with whatever was available was ancient, practical, and widespread. The concept existed thousands of years before Naples placed tomato sauce on dough. And the word pizza itself is much older than most people realize. The earliest known written use appears in a Latin document dated to the year 997 in Gaeta, a coastal town located between Rome and Naples. The document recorded rent owed to a local bishop. Part of that rent was to be paid in the form of duodecim pizzae, 12 pizzas. The medieval landlord apparently accepted dough as legal tender, proving once again that real estate has always been ridiculous. Whatever those pizzas looked like, they almost certainly did not contain tomatoes. Tomatoes had not yet reached Europe. But the word was already common enough to appear in a legal document and valuable enough to be used as payment. Pizza existed before Christopher Columbus, before the modern Italian nation, before anybody could leave a 1-star review because the basil was unevenly distributed. From the beginning, flatbread was democratic food. It fed soldiers, workers, farmers, enslaved people, and ordinary citizens. The Roman state distributed subsidized or free grain through a system known as the annona, feeding enormous numbers of people in the city of Rome. Bread was one of the primary ways that grain became edible. It was cheap. It was filling. It could be carried. It could be shared. and it could be topped with almost anything. The basic foundation of pizza was already in place. It was simply waiting for an ingredient that Europe had never seen. The fruit Europe feared. The basic foundation of pizza was already in place. Flatbread. Oil. Cheese. Herbs. Heat. What it did not have was the ingredient that would eventually define it: the tomato. And for most of European history, the tomato did not exist anywhere in Europe. Tomatoes originated in the Americas. Their wild ancestors developed along the western regions of South America, while indigenous peoples gradually cultivated and transformed them over generations. By the time Spanish conquistadors entered the Aztec world during the early 16th century, tomatoes were already being grown, traded, cooked, and eaten in Mesoamerica. The Nahuatl word tomatl eventually helped give the fruit its modern name. To the people already living in the Americas, the tomato was food. To Europeans encountering it for the first time, it was something far more suspicious. The Spanish carried tomatoes across the Atlantic during the 16th century as part of the enormous biological exchange that followed European colonization of the Americas. Potatoes, maize, cacao, peppers, tobacco, and tomatoes traveled east. European livestock, crops, diseases, and empires traveled west. History calls this the Columbian Exchange. The people living through it probably had less polite language. The tomato reached Spain and soon began appearing in other parts of Europe. One of the earliest known Italian descriptions came from the physician and botanist Pietro Andrea Mattioli. In 1544, Mattioli described a strange new type of eggplant that could be eaten with oil, salt, and pepper. He later referred to certain varieties as pomidoro, golden apples. The name survives in the modern Italian word for tomato, pomodoro. But Europeans did not immediately welcome the tomato into their kitchens. The plant belonged to the nightshade family, which also included several poisonous species. Its leaves and stems contained compounds that could cause illness if consumed in significant amounts. The fruit looked unfamiliar. It smelled unusual. And it arrived from lands that many Europeans understood mostly through rumor, conquest, religious propaganda, and spectacularly inaccurate maps. Naturally, people became suspicious. For generations, tomatoes were often grown as ornamental curiosities rather than ordinary food. Wealthy Europeans displayed them in gardens. Botanists examined them. Physicians debated their properties. Writers associated them with medicine, danger, beauty, and occasionally lust. Eating one at dinner was apparently a more complicated decision. Later stories claimed that wealthy Europeans became ill after eating tomatoes from pewter plates. The acid in the fruit may have reacted with lead contained in some tableware, potentially contributing to poisoning. It is a wonderfully dramatic explanation. Unfortunately, the historical evidence is less tidy than the legend. Europe did not experience one universal panic in which everyone believed tomatoes were instantly fatal. Attitudes varied by region, social class, and period. Some Europeans ate them. Some distrusted them. Some grew them for decoration. And some probably stared at them from across the room as though the tomato had arrived carrying legal papers. What is clear is that the tomato did not immediately become central to Italian cooking. That transformation took time. Spain, particularly regions connected to Mediterranean trade, adopted tomatoes earlier than many parts of northern Europe. The fruit also entered Spanish-controlled territories in southern Italy. At the time, Naples was not part of a unified Italian nation. There was no unified Italian nation. The city existed within a shifting political world shaped by foreign dynasties, local elites, the Catholic Church, Mediterranean commerce, and repeated struggles for power. Southern Italy had deep commercial and political connections with Spain. Those connections helped tomatoes move into Neapolitan markets and kitchens. The earliest surviving European tomato recipes appeared during the 17th century. In 1692, Antonio Latini published a recipe for tomato sauce in Naples. Latini had served wealthy households and worked as a steward in the city. His recipe, described as Spanish-style tomato sauce, combined tomatoes with onions, chili peppers, salt, oil, and vinegar. This was not yet the smooth red sauce poured over modern pizza. But the door had opened. The suspicious garden ornament had entered the kitchen. And once tomatoes reached the kitchens of ordinary Neapolitans, they found the people most willing to experiment with them: the poor. Wealthy diners could afford elaborate meat dishes, imported spices, pastries, multiple courses, and servants required to prepare them. The working poor needed food that was cheap, filling, fast, and strong enough in flavor to make basic ingredients feel like a meal. Tomatoes were well suited to that world. They grew in the climate of southern Italy. They could be cooked down into sauce. They added moisture, acidity, color, and flavor to bread. Most importantly, they were inexpensive. The upper classes had spent years treating the tomato as a suspicious foreign curiosity. The poor looked at it and saw lunch. This is one of history's recurring arrangements. The wealthy reject an ingredient. The poor figure out how to make it delicious. 200 years later, the wealthy purchased the same dish beneath exposed light bulbs for $32. By the 18th century, tomatoes had become increasingly common in Neapolitan cooking. Street vendors and home cooks began combining them with the flatbreads already eaten throughout the city. The result was still simple: dough, tomato, garlic, oil, perhaps herbs, small fish, or cheese when money allowed. There was no official invention ceremony. No mayor cut a ribbon. No royal chef stepped forward and announced that pizza had been completed. The transformation happened gradually in crowded neighborhoods, public ovens, street stalls, and working-class kitchens. Ancient flatbread met an American fruit in a Spanish-controlled Italian city. Pizza, as the modern world would recognize it, was finally beginning to emerge. But it would not rise from palaces. It would rise from poverty, from overcrowded streets, from workers who needed food they could buy quickly and eat with their hands. The tomato had crossed an ocean, survived European suspicion, and entered the kitchens of Naples. Now it was about to meet the people who would turn it into an empire. Naples, the city that needed pizza. By the 18th century, Naples had become one of Europe's largest cities. It was crowded, noisy, politically unstable, and deeply unequal. Its streets were filled with merchants, laborers, sailors, beggars, aristocrats, clergy, thieves, performers, and children working wherever they could. Large numbers of residents lived in severe poverty. Many families occupied cramped housing with little ventilation and no proper kitchen. Workers needed food that was cheap, fast, filling, and easy to eat while moving through the city. Pizza was built for that world. Street vendors sold flat rounds of dough topped with oil, lard, garlic, tomatoes, cheese, or small fish. The ingredients depended on availability and price. Some pizzas were barely more than bread brushed with fat. Others carried tomato, cheese, or anchovies. They could be folded and eaten by hand. They could be carried through the streets. They could be sold quickly to dock workers, laborers, and the urban poor. Pizza became closely associated with the Lazzaroni, a term used for Naples' poorest working people and street population. These were people who often survived through irregular labor, market work, carrying goods, fishing, and whatever other opportunities appeared. Pizza was not a charming regional delicacy to them. It was affordable fuel. Some vendors used a system known as pizza e auto. Customers could eat immediately and pay days later. Credit was apparently available for pizza long before anybody thought extending credit for college tuition might cause problems. By the 19th century, pizza was everywhere in Naples. It was also treated with contempt by many members of the upper classes. To wealthy visitors and respectable society, pizza represented poverty, dirt, overcrowding, and street life. Some travel writers described the food with curiosity. Others described it with disgust. Pizza was greasy. It was vulgar. It was associated with people the upper classes preferred not to see. This is an important part of the story. Pizza was not immediately embraced as a symbol of Italian greatness. For generations, it was largely viewed as food from Naples, and more specifically, food for poor Neapolitans. The people eating it were not celebrating culinary heritage. They were trying to get through the day. In 1835, the French novelist Alexandre Dumas visited Naples. He observed the city's streets, its poverty, its theatrical chaos, and its food. Dumas later described his experience in Le Coricolo, published between 1841 and 1843. He wrote about pizzas prepared with oil, lard, cheese, tomato, and small fish. More importantly, he explained that pizza functioned as an economic indicator. Its ingredients changed according to the success or failure of local harvests. When food was scarce, pizza became simpler. When conditions improved, toppings became more generous. A family's pizza could reveal its financial condition. A plain round of dough told one story. A pizza with tomato told another. Cheese or fish suggested a rare moment of relative abundance. Dumas looked at pizza and saw the economy of Naples written across its surface. The crust was the balance sheet. The anchovies were quarterly earnings. The tomato was what remained after everybody else took their cut. Naples in the 1830s was overwhelmed by poverty and disease. Cholera struck the city in 1836 and 1837. It returned again in 1854 and 1855, killing thousands. Overcrowding, poor sanitation, contaminated water, and inadequate housing turned disease into catastrophe. Pizza sat at the center of this world. It was cheap enough for the poor, portable enough for workers, flexible enough to change according to whatever ingredients were available. It succeeded because Naples needed it, not because it was fashionable, not because a celebrity endorsed it, not because a marketing company invented National Flatbread Awareness Month. Pizza survived because hungry people could afford it. the queen, the pizza, and the perfect legend. By the late 19th century, pizza had become deeply rooted in the streets of Naples. It was still working-class food. Cheap. Portable. Informal. And largely dismissed by respectable Italian society. Then, according to one of the most famous stories in food history, a queen changed everything. In 1889, King Umberto I and Queen Margherita of Savoy visited Naples. Italy had become a unified nation only a few decades earlier. The new royal family ruled a country that was politically united on paper, but remained divided by language, region, class, and identity. Northern and southern Italy did not suddenly become one harmonious national family because somebody drew a border and printed matching stationery. Naples remained culturally distinct. It was proud, crowded, poor, and deeply suspicious of northern authority. According to the traditional story, Queen Margherita became curious about the flatbread eaten by the people of Naples. A local pizzaiolo named Raffaele Esposito was summoned to prepare several pizzas for the royal couple. Esposito reportedly made 3 varieties. One with garlic and oil, another with small fish, and a third topped with tomatoes, mozzarella, and basil. Red. White. Green. The colors of the recently unified Italian flag. The Queen supposedly preferred the patriotic version. Esposito then named it Pizza Margherita in her honor. It is a beautiful story. It has royalty, national pride, a humble cook, a grateful queen, and melted cheese performing public relations for the Italian monarchy. There is even a surviving letter, dated June 1889, thanking Esposito for the pizzas he prepared. The document has been displayed for generations by the Naples Pizzeria, now known as Brandy. But historians have raised serious questions about the story. The ingredients associated with Pizza Margherita were already being used on Neapolitan pizzas before the royal visit. Tomato, mozzarella, and basil did not suddenly meet one another because a queen entered the room. Written descriptions from earlier in the 19th century already referred to pizzas topped with combinations of tomatoes, cheese, and herbs. The famous royal letter has also been examined with skepticism. Questions have been raised about its handwriting, wording, official seal, and whether it was produced at the time of the visit or created later as a promotional device. That does not necessarily mean Queen Margherita never ate pizza. She may have. Raffaele Esposito may have prepared it. The royal visit may have contributed to the dish's growing respectability. But the clean version of the legend is almost certainly more complicated than the menu board version. Pizza Margherita was probably not invented in a single afternoon. It evolved from combinations Neapolitans were already eating. The royal story gave an existing pizza something extremely valuable: a name, a patriotic identity, and celebrity approval. The poor had spent generations developing the food. The monarchy arrived just in time to pose for the photograph. That arrangement should feel familiar. Working people create something useful. The upper classes dismiss it. Then somebody important discovers it, renames it, and receives partial credit for improving civilization. Still, the legend mattered. Whether completely true, partly true, or beautifully polished for business, the Queen Margherita story helped transform pizza's public image. Pizza was no longer only food associated with Naples' poorest streets. It could now be connected to the royal family, to the Italian flag, to national identity, to a united Italy that was still trying to convince itself it was united. The red tomato represented one stripe of the flag. The white mozzarella represented another. The green basil completed the arrangement. It was food transformed into political theater. A meal became a flag that could be folded, carried, and eaten before the government had time to raise taxes on it. But royal approval did not instantly make pizza respectable across Italy. Outside Naples, many Italians still knew little about it. Regional food traditions remained powerful. A person in Milan, Turin, Bologna, or Venice might have considered pizza distinctly Neapolitan rather than broadly Italian. The dish's future would not be secured by royalty alone. It would be secured by migration. Millions of Italians were preparing to leave their homeland. They carried family traditions, regional dialects, recipes, religious customs, and memories of foods that reminded them of home. Neapolitans brought pizza with them. Across the Atlantic, the food of Naples' poor would enter crowded American neighborhoods. There it would encounter coal-fired ovens, factory workers, street vendors, new ingredients, and customers from every corner of the world. The Queen may have helped give pizza a legend. Immigrants were about to give it an empire. Pizza crosses the Atlantic. The Queen may have given pizza a royal legend. Italian immigrants gave it a future. Between the late 19th and early 20th centuries, millions of Italians left their homeland. They fled poverty, political instability, limited economic opportunity, overcrowding, and agricultural crises. Many came from southern Italy and Sicily. They arrived in the United States carrying little money and few possessions. But they brought language, religion, family traditions, regional loyalties, and food. To outsiders, these immigrants were simply called Italian. Among themselves, the differences were obvious. A Sicilian was not a Neapolitan. A Calabrian was not a Roman. A person from Genoa might have considered somebody from Naples practically foreign. Italy had become one nation politically. Its people had not received the memo. The largest numbers settled in cities such as New York, Boston, Philadelphia, New Haven, Chicago, and San Francisco. They moved into crowded neighborhoods close to factories, docks, construction sites, and markets. The conditions were often harsh. Housing was cramped. Work was dangerous. Wages were low. Discrimination was common. Italian immigrants were portrayed as dirty, criminal, ignorant, violent, and incapable of becoming American. Newspapers warned about them. Politicians exploited them. Employers underpaid them. And respectable society treated their neighborhoods as though entering one required vaccinations and a notarized will. Inside those neighborhoods, familiar food offered comfort. Bread, pasta, cheese, tomatoes, olive oil, garlic, and pizza. At first, pizza remained almost entirely within Italian immigrant communities. It was sold from bakeries, grocery stores, street carts, and small neighborhood shops. Some vendors carried pizzas through the streets in metal containers. Others sold large pies by the slice. Customers could buy only what they could afford. Pizza remained what it had been in Naples: cheap food for working people. One of the most famous names in early American pizza history is Gennaro Lombardi. Lombardi operated an Italian grocery store on Spring Street in Manhattan. The traditional story claims that he began selling tomato pies to workers and received a license to operate a pizzeria in 1905. Lombardi's is frequently described as America's first pizzeria. The claim is famous. The history is slightly more complicated. Evidence suggests pizza was being produced and sold in Italian neighborhoods before 1905. Other bakers, shopkeepers, and street vendors were almost certainly making it. The precise identity of the first American pizza maker may never be known. History often remembers the person who kept the paperwork. Everybody else gets folded into the crust. Still, Lombardi's became enormously influential. Its coal-fired oven produced pizzas with a thin, blistered crust. Large pies were sold to workers from nearby factories and businesses. Customers who could not afford an entire pizza could purchase a portion based on the amount of money they had. The slice might then be wrapped in paper and folded. No artisan cutting board. No imported marble countertop. No waiter explaining that the basil had attended private school. Just hot food handed to somebody who needed lunch. Other early pizzerias followed. Totano's opened on Coney Island in 1924. Its founder, Anthony Pero, had reportedly worked at Lombardi's before establishing his own business. John's of Bleecker Street opened in Greenwich Village in 1929. Patsy's opened in East Harlem in 1933. Frank Pepe opened his pizzeria in New Haven, Connecticut in 1925. These establishments helped establish distinct regional traditions. New York developed large, thin pies that could be folded. New Haven became known for a pizza, pronounced locally as "aw beats," with a thin, charred crust produced in extremely hot ovens. Tomato pies became especially important in cities such as Philadelphia and Trenton. In some versions, the tomato sauce sat above the cheese. In others, cheese was limited or absent. Every neighborhood developed its own rules. And every neighborhood eventually became convinced that all other neighborhoods were committing a felony. Pizza was still strongly associated with Italian identity. For many Americans, eating it required entering an immigrant neighborhood. The smells, language, and atmosphere were unfamiliar. Garlic itself was sometimes treated with suspicion by upper-class American society. Italian food was mocked as heavy, crude, excessively seasoned, and foreign. The same cuisine that would later become one of America's favorites was once used as evidence that Italians could not assimilate. Apparently, citizenship was threatened by oregano. Pizza's growth was also limited by geography. Before widespread automobile ownership, modern highways, and large-scale food distribution, pizza was primarily a local product. It was made and eaten within neighborhoods. The ingredients were inexpensive, but the dish did not travel especially well over long distances. There were no national chains. No frozen supermarket pizzas. No cardboard delivery boxes stacked beside apartment doors. No mobile application asking whether the customer would like to round up the total to support a cause nobody properly explained. Pizza belonged to the block. It was baked close to where it was eaten. Its customers often knew the owner. Recipes passed through families and apprenticeships. Ovens developed their own personalities. A pizza from one shop could be noticeably different from a pizza made only a few streets away. Coal-fired ovens played an important role in early northeastern American pizza. Coal was widely used in cities for industrial and domestic heating. The ovens could reach intense temperatures and produced a crisp, charred crust. Later, pizzerias used wood, gas, and eventually electric ovens. Each method changed the texture and flavor, but the basic combination remained simple: dough, tomato, cheese, heat. The same foundation that had fed the poor in Naples was now feeding factory workers, dock workers, construction crews, and immigrant families in the United States. Pizza adapted because immigrants adapted. Ingredients changed. Ovens changed. Serving styles changed. The food became larger, faster, and more suited to American city life. Yet it remained tied to memory. For Italian immigrants, pizza was not merely a new commercial product. It was a connection to home. It carried the taste of Naples into Manhattan. It placed Southern Italian street food beside American factories and elevated trains. It allowed people who had crossed an ocean to recover something familiar for the price of a few coins. But pizza had not yet conquered America. Outside Italian neighborhoods, it remained unfamiliar. Many Americans had never tasted it. Some had never heard of it. That would begin to change during the Second World War. Thousands of American servicemen would travel through Italy. They would encounter pizza overseas. And when they returned home, they brought back an appetite for it. Italian immigrants had carried pizza into America. American soldiers were about to carry it beyond the Italian neighborhood. The war that made America hungry for pizza. Italian immigrants had carried pizza into the United States. But for decades, it remained largely concentrated inside Italian-American neighborhoods. Then came the Second World War. Between 1943 and 1945, Allied forces fought their way through Sicily and the Italian mainland. Hundreds of thousands of American servicemen passed through Italian towns and cities. Some encountered pizza in Naples and southern Italy. Others ate versions prepared near military bases, ports, and occupied communities. The popular version of the story claims that American soldiers discovered pizza in Italy and brought it home after the war. That explanation is convenient. It is also incomplete. Pizza had already existed in the United States for decades. Italian-American bakeries, grocery stores, street vendors, and pizzerias had been serving it long before American troops landed in Sicily. The soldiers did not introduce pizza to America. Italian immigrants had already done that. What returning servicemen helped do was introduce pizza to Americans outside Italian communities. They returned home with memories of a food that was cheap, hot, informal, and easy to share. Dough, tomato, cheese, a few toppings. No formal table setting. No complicated etiquette. No waiter silently judging which fork you selected. Pizza fit the post-war American mood. The country was changing rapidly. Millions of servicemen returned home. Families formed. Cities expanded. Suburbs grew. Automobile ownership increased. Factories shifted from wartime production to consumer goods. Americans had more money to spend, more roads to travel, and a growing appetite for convenient food. Pizza was ready. During the late 1940s and 1950s, pizzerias began opening far beyond the traditional Italian neighborhoods of New York, New Haven, Boston, and Philadelphia. The dish spread into the Midwest, the West Coast, suburban shopping districts, college towns, and communities near military bases. Italian-American entrepreneurs played the central role. They opened restaurants. They trained relatives. They shared recipes. They adapted ovens and ingredients to local conditions. Some served thin crusts. Others made thicker pies. Some covered the dough with mozzarella. Others used provolone, parmesan, or regional cheese blends. The exact style changed from city to city. The argument over which version was authentic began almost immediately. Because nothing unites Americans quite like screaming at one another over carbohydrates. Pizza also benefited from the growth of American entertainment culture. Movie stars, musicians, athletes, and celebrities were photographed eating it. Newspapers published recipes. Magazines described it as exotic but approachable. The same food once dismissed as dirty immigrant street fare was becoming fashionable. American culture had performed one of its favorite tricks. First, ridicule the immigrants. Then, adopt their food. Finally, sell it back to everyone at a higher price. Dean Martin sang about love and pizza pies. Frank Sinatra became inseparable from the public image of Italian-American style. Italian restaurants became places where non-Italian customers could experience what they imagined was old-world hospitality. Checkered tablecloths, Chianti bottles, candlelight, accordion music, and enough garlic to make the dining room legally independent. Pizza became part of that romanticized Italian image. But its appeal was not limited to nostalgia. It was practical. A single pie could feed several people. It could be divided into equal slices. It required no knife and fork. It worked for families, parties, teenagers, factory workers, students, and anyone who had recently discovered that cooking every night was exhausting. Pizza was communal food. It arrived in the center of the table. Everybody reached for it. Arguments developed over the last slice. Civilizations were built on less. The rise of television also changed American eating habits. Families increasingly gathered around the television set during the evening. Meals that could be carried into the living room became more attractive. Pizza did not demand a dining room. It did not require several courses. It could sit inside a cardboard box while the family watched a Western, a variety program, or the news. The television dinner had compartments. Pizza had freedom. During this period, regional American pizza styles began developing more clearly. Chicago became associated with deep dish pizza. The style was popularized during the 1940s by Pizzeria Uno, founded by Ike Sewell and Rick Ricardo. Instead of a thin Neapolitan-style base, Deep dish pizza used a high-edged pan and a thick layer of dough. Cheese was placed beneath the tomato sauce to protect it from the longer cooking time. The result was heavy, rich, and structurally closer to a construction project. New York pizza continued developing its large, thin, foldable slices. New Haven protected its charred a pizza tradition with the seriousness of a religious order. St. Louis developed an extremely thin crust and later became known for Provel cheese. Detroit produced rectangular pizzas baked in industrial-style metal trays. The edges became crisp and caramelized as cheese spread against the sides of the pan. California would eventually embrace fresh vegetables, unusual cheeses, and toppings that caused traditionalists to reach immediately for legal counsel. Every region adapted pizza to its own tastes. That adaptability was the secret. Pizza did not demand loyalty to a single recipe. It accepted local ingredients, local ovens, local traditions, local excesses. It could be thin or thick, round or square, simple or overloaded, traditional or completely unrecognizable to a person from Naples. Pizza became American because America kept changing it. But restaurants alone could not turn pizza into a truly national food. To conquer the country, pizza needed to enter supermarkets. It needed to survive inside freezers. It needed to be manufactured on an industrial scale. It needed to reach families who lived nowhere near an Italian neighborhood or independent pizzeria. The next transformation would take pizza away from the street corner and place it inside the American home. Not through a wood-fired oven. Not through a family recipe. Through frozen food technology. The food of Naples' poor had crossed the Atlantic. It had survived discrimination. It had followed soldiers home from war. Now, corporate America was about to discover it. And once the corporations arrived, nobody was leaving without a franchise agreement. The freezer, the franchise, and the American empire. Corporate America had discovered pizza. The next step was obvious. Freeze it. Standardize it. Franchise it. And make certain that no American could travel more than 6 miles without seeing a glowing red sign promising melted cheese. For most of pizza's history, it had been local food. A pizzaiolo made the dough. A neighborhood oven baked it. Customers ate it nearby. The quality depended on the ingredients, the baker, the oven, and whether somebody's uncle had remembered to order enough mozzarella. Industrial food production changed everything. During the middle of the 20th century, refrigerators and home freezers became increasingly common in American households. Frozen foods promised convenience. Families could purchase meals weeks in advance, store them at home, and cook them whenever necessary. No shopping that day. No preparation from scratch. No argument over whose turn it was to wash the pot. Pizza appeared perfectly suited to the freezer. It was flat. It was inexpensive. It could be wrapped, stacked, transported, and reheated. But freezing pizza created technical problems. The crust could become soggy. The sauce could soak into the dough. The cheese could dry out or separate. A pizza that tasted wonderful when fresh could emerge from a home oven resembling a roofing tile covered in orange rubber. Food manufacturers experimented with dough recipes, moisture levels, packaging, cooking instructions, and freezing methods, By the 1950s, commercially produced frozen pizzas were appearing in American grocery stores. Several companies contributed to the growing market. Among the best-known pioneers were Rose and Jim Totino. The couple opened a pizzeria in Minneapolis in 1951 and later expanded into frozen pizza production. Rose Totino became one of the most influential figures in the development of the American frozen pizza industry. The business eventually became part of the Pillsbury Company. Pizza had moved from the neighborhood oven into the industrial food laboratory. Millions of Americans who lived nowhere near an Italian neighborhood could now purchase one from a supermarket freezer. The results varied. Some frozen pizzas were surprisingly good. Others appeared to have been assembled during a labor dispute. But they were convenient. They were affordable. And they lasted longer than fresh pizza. Frozen pizza became especially popular with families, teenagers, college students, and anyone standing in a kitchen at midnight making decisions that would not survive daylight. Advertising presented frozen pizza as modern food for modern families. The packaging showed bubbling cheese, bright tomato sauce, and perfectly arranged toppings. The actual pizza inside occasionally required imagination and favorable lighting. Still, the category grew. Brands such as Totino's, Tombstone, Red Baron, and eventually DiGiorno became fixtures in American supermarkets. Frozen pizza was no longer merely an imitation of restaurant food. It became its own cultural object. A freezer staple. A backup dinner. An after-school snack. An edible emergency plan. At the same time, restaurant chains were beginning to transform pizza into a standardized national business. In 1958, brothers Dan and Frank Carney opened the first Pizza Hut in Wichita, Kansas. They reportedly chose the name partly because the sign had room for only a limited number of letters. Thus, one of the largest restaurant brands in the world was named through the ancient American tradition of working with whatever the landlord had already installed. Pizza Hut expanded rapidly through franchising. Restaurants followed a recognizable model. A red roof. Dark dining rooms. Heavy wooden tables. Pitchers of soda. Pan pizza served hot enough to remove fingerprints. For many American families, Pizza Hut became their first regular experience with restaurant pizza. It was not Naples. It was not New York. It was not trying to be. It was suburban American pizza served beneath a stained glass lamp that made every dinner feel vaguely medieval. Little Caesars was founded in Michigan in 1959 by Mike and Marion Elich. The company emphasized affordability, carry-out service, and eventually its famous two pizza promotions. Its approach was simple. Sell more pizza. Sell it quickly. Make the slogan impossible to forget. In 1960, brothers Tom and James Monahan purchased a small pizza shop in Ypsilanti, Michigan. The business later became Domino's. Domino's focused heavily on delivery. Instead of building elaborate dining rooms, the company built a system designed to move pizzas from ovens to customers' doors as efficiently as possible. The store became a production center. The automobile became the dining room. The driver became the final link in the assembly line. Delivery changed the relationship between Americans and pizza. Customers no longer needed to visit a restaurant. Pizza came to them. It arrived at apartments, dormitories, offices, birthday parties, poker games, late-night study sessions, and family gatherings where nobody had planned dinner because apparently optimism had been placed in charge. The cardboard pizza box became essential. Earlier pizzas had been wrapped in paper or placed in simple containers. Modern corrugated boxes allowed steam to escape while protecting the pie during transportation. They could be stacked. They could be branded. They could carry coupons, advertisements, and promises that the next pizza would somehow be cheaper if the customer surrendered enough personal information. The chains brought consistency. A pizza ordered in one city could resemble a pizza ordered hundreds of miles away. The dough followed a formula. The sauce followed a formula. The cheese was measured. The ovens were timed. Employees were trained to repeat the same process. This was the opposite of the old neighborhood pizzeria, where recipes might live inside one person's memory and the oven temperature was determined by instinct, experience, and shouting. Standardization allowed pizza companies to grow. It also changed the food. Traditional fermentation could take time. Corporate production demanded speed. Handfuls became measured portions. Local suppliers became national contracts. Individual ovens became equipment packages. The pizzaiolo became an employee following an operations manual thick enough to stop a door. Pizza was becoming a product as much as a meal. The growth of highways, suburbs, shopping centers, and automobile culture helped the chains expand. New developments needed restaurants. Families wanted affordable meals. Teenagers wanted places to gather. Pizza restaurants required less formal service than traditional dining establishments. The food was casual, shareable, familiar, and extremely profitable when dough, sauce, cheese, and toppings were controlled carefully. Television advertising accelerated the transformation. Commercials showed families gathered around pizzas with cheese stretching several feet beyond the known limits of dairy science. Children smiled. Parents relaxed. Nobody asked who was cleaning the kitchen. Pizza became associated with convenience, celebration, sports, and entertainment. It was Friday night food, birthday food, football food, sleepover food. The meal ordered when people wanted to eat together without pretending they wanted to cook together. By the late 20th century, pizza had become one of the most recognizable foods in the United States. Independent pizzerias remained essential. Regional styles continued to grow. Family businesses passed recipes through generations. But national chains and frozen food companies had turned pizza into an industrial empire. It could now be purchased fresh, frozen, delivered, carried out, reheated, microwaved, or consumed cold while standing in front of an open refrigerator. The food once sold to poor workers on the streets of Naples had become a symbol of American abundance. More cheese. More meat. More crust. More toppings. Larger sizes. Special offers. Limited-time inventions assembled by executives who apparently believed every pizza should contain at least one ingredient normally found at a county fair. Pizza had conquered the American market. But America was only the beginning. The same systems that spread pizza across the United States were preparing to take it around the world. Franchises crossed borders. Frozen pizzas entered foreign supermarkets. Local cooks adopted the basic formula and transformed it according to regional tastes. In Japan, pizza met seafood and mayonnaise. In India, it encountered paneer, spices, and vegetarian traditions. In Brazil, it acquired toppings ranging from hearts of palm to chocolate. In Sweden, somebody added bananas and curry powder, and the international community decided not to intervene. Pizza had become a global language. Every country spoke it with an accent. The freezer had made pizza portable. The franchise had made it repeatable. Advertising had made it irresistible. What began as survival food was becoming one of the largest food industries on Earth. And wherever pizza traveled, people changed it. Sometimes beautifully. Sometimes creatively. And sometimes in ways that required Naples to look away. Pizza conquers the world. The freezer made pizza portable. The franchise made it repeatable. Advertising made it familiar. But the reason pizza conquered the world was simpler. People could make it their own. The basic structure required very little explanation. Dough. Sauce. Cheese. Heat. Everything after that was negotiable. As American restaurant chains expanded internationally during the late 20th century, pizza entered cities far beyond Europe and North America. But it did not arrive as a finished product. Local cooks changed it. Customers changed it. Regional ingredients changed it. Pizza became global by refusing to remain completely Italian. In Japan, pizzas appeared topped with seafood, corn, mayonnaise, seaweed, and potatoes. In India, restaurants developed versions using paneer, tandoori chicken, spicy sauces, and vegetarian toppings adapted to religious and cultural traditions. In South Korea, pizzas sometimes included sweet potatoes, corn, bulgogi, shrimp, and elaborate stuffed crusts. In Brazil, pizza developed an enormous following. Brazilian pizzerias became known for generous toppings that could include hearts of palm, eggs, peas, chicken, cream cheese, and sweet dessert combinations. São Paulo developed one of the most celebrated pizza cultures outside Italy. The city's large Italian immigrant population helped establish the tradition. Local creativity took care of the rest. In Argentina, Italian immigration helped create its own distinctive pizza culture. Buenos Aires became famous for thick, cheese-heavy pizzas and fugazeta, a style filled or topped with onions and generous amounts of cheese. It was not Neapolitan pizza. It was not trying to be. It belonged to Buenos Aires. Turkey developed peed. Georgia had khachapuri. Lebanon had manakish. These dishes were not simply versions of pizza. They came from their own older flatbread traditions. But as pizza spread globally, people increasingly compared all topped flatbreads to one another. Apparently, once humanity discovered bread could hold additional food, every culture entered the same argument from a different doorway. Pizza also returned to Europe in new forms. American-style chains expanded across countries that already possessed their own bread, cheese, and baking traditions. Some welcomed the convenience. Others regarded American pizza as an industrial crime wearing mozzarella. Italy itself became increasingly protective of its pizza heritage. Neapolitan organizations established rules governing traditional preparation. The dough, the ingredients, the fermentation, the oven, the temperature, the shape, the texture, the cooking time. Because once something becomes internationally popular, somebody eventually creates a committee to explain that everyone else is doing it wrong. Traditional Neapolitan pizza remained relatively simple. A soft, thin center, a raised, blistered crust, tomato, mozzarella, basil, olive oil. It was cooked quickly in an extremely hot wood-fired oven. The result was different from the firm, heavily topped pizzas common in many American restaurants. A Neapolitan pizza was not necessarily designed to remain rigid when lifted. It could be soft, tender, slightly wet in the center. To traditionalists, this was correct. To customers expecting a sturdy American slice, it occasionally looked as though the pizza had surrendered. In 2017, UNESCO added the art of the Neapolitan pizzaiuolo to its list of intangible cultural heritage. The recognition did not declare pizza itself a protected monument. It honored the knowledge, gestures, songs, traditions, and techniques associated with Neapolitan pizza makers. The craft had traveled from working-class streets to international cultural recognition. The same food once dismissed as vulgar street fare was now being discussed using words like heritage, preservation, and authenticity. Pizza had climbed the entire social ladder. It began as food for people without kitchens. It became food for immigrants. Then it became restaurant food, frozen food, delivery food, franchise food, celebrity chef food, and eventually luxury food topped with imported cheese, truffles, edible gold, and enough marketing language to qualify as fiction. The transformation was remarkable, but it created an unavoidable question. What counts as real pizza? Must it be made in Naples? Must it use specific tomatoes? Does the dough require a wood-fired oven? Can the crust be thick? Can the pizza be square? Can it contain barbecue sauce? Can it contain pineapple? That final question has destroyed more peaceful conversations than several minor territorial disputes. The Hawaiian pizza was reportedly developed in Canada during the 1960s by restaurateur Sam Panopoulos. Despite the name, it was not invented in Hawaii. Panopoulos combined pineapple with ham on pizza, creating a sweet and salty topping that became internationally famous. Some people loved it. Others reacted as though fruit had personally insulted their ancestors. The argument continues because pizza inspires ownership. People do not merely prefer one style. They defend it. New Yorkers defend the foldable slice. Chicagoans defend deep dish. New Haven residents defend ciarda pizza. Detroit protects the crispy cheese edge. Neapolitans defend tradition. Everybody insists that their version is authentic. Everybody else is apparently selling bread-based fraud. But authenticity is complicated. Pizza has never stopped changing. The tomato came from the Americas. Mozzarella developed from older cheese-making traditions. Wheat moved across civilizations. Techniques traveled through trade, conquest, migration, and poverty. The dish most closely associated with Italy was built from ingredients and ideas that crossed borders for centuries. Even the supposedly traditional pizza margherita was the result of cultural movement. American tomatoes, Mediterranean wheat, European cheese, Asian basil. Cooked inside a city shaped by Greeks, Romans, Spaniards, French rulers, local dynasties, merchants, migrants, and ordinary workers. Pizza was global before the franchises ever arrived. Modern technology accelerated the process. Online ordering removed the need to telephone a restaurant. Delivery applications transformed pizza shops into nodes inside enormous digital networks. Customers could follow a driver's location across a map, with the concentration once reserved for military operations. Automated ovens improved consistency. Factories produced dough, sauce, cheese, toppings, packaging, and frozen pies on a massive scale. Social media created new pizza celebrities. Videos showed crusts being stretched, cheese being pulled, ovens being fired, slices being folded, and people eating absurdly large portions while staring into a camera with the haunted expression of someone reconsidering every career choice. Pizza remained inexpensive in many forms, but it could also become extremely expensive. Artisanal pizzerias returned to long fermentation, heritage grains, imported ingredients, and traditional ovens. The industrial product inspired a movement back toward craft. The fast food version created demand for slow food. The global empire sent people searching for the original neighborhood shop. Yet the cheapest pizza still served the same purpose it had served in Naples. It fed people quickly. Students, workers, families, children. Night shift employees, party guests, travelers, anyone too tired to cook, anyone without much money, anyone standing in front of an open refrigerator hoping that yesterday's slice remained legally edible. Pizza could be a carefully prepared cultural artifact. It could also be dinner from a gas station. Sometimes it was both within the same 24-hour period. That flexibility made pizza nearly impossible to defeat. It crossed class boundaries, religious boundaries, national boundaries, political boundaries. It could be vegetarian. It could be covered in meat. It could be adapted to dietary restrictions. It could use local cheese, local vegetables, local spices, and local cooking methods. Pizza entered cultures without completely replacing what was already there. It absorbed them. It became part of them. The poor of Naples did not set out to create a global industry. They were not building a brand. They were not developing a franchise strategy. They were hungry. They had bread. They had tomatoes. They had fire. From those simple conditions came one of the most successful foods in human history. Pizza conquered the world because it never belonged exclusively to kings, corporations, chefs, or governments. It belonged to the people eating it. Every country changed it. Every city argued over it. Every generation added something. The ancient flatbreads survived. The feared tomato became essential. The food of the poor entered royal legend. Immigrants carried it across the Atlantic. Soldiers helped spread its popularity. Freezers preserved it. Franchises multiplied it. And ordinary people continued doing what human beings had done for thousands of years. They placed whatever they had on top of bread. Then they called everyone else's version wrong. Pizza goes to space. By the beginning of the 21st century, pizza had already conquered most of the planet. The next logical step was leaving it. In 2000, Pizza Hut paid to place its logo on the side of a Russian Proton rocket. The following year, the company arranged for a specially prepared pizza to be sent to Russian cosmonaut Yuri Usachov aboard the International Space Station. The pizza had to be modified for spaceflight. Taste perception can change in orbit, so the recipe included extra seasoning. Pepperoni did not survive the testing process, so salami was used instead. The pizza traveled aboard a Russian supply mission. Usachov ate it on camera. The event became one of the most famous examples of food advertising in space. A product that had begun as dough topped with scraps in the crowded streets of Naples now carried corporate branding beyond Earth. The distance was enormous. The basic idea remained unchanged. Bread. Toppings. Heat. A hungry person. The pizza had crossed continents, oceans, class divisions, wars, migration routes, factory lines, supermarket freezers, and national borders. Now it had crossed the atmosphere. Somewhere, the Lazzaroni of old Naples were owed royalties. Royalty ate one, and history immediately ordered new stationery. But pizza's real transformation came through migration. Italian immigrants carried it across the Atlantic. They brought pizza into crowded American neighborhoods, where it fed factory workers, laborers, families, and people trying to build new lives in a country that often treated them with hostility. At first, pizza remained immigrant food. It belonged to Italian bakeries, grocery stores, street vendors, and neighborhood pizzerias. Then the Second World War widened its audience. Returning servicemen helped introduce the food to Americans who had never entered an Italian neighborhood. Post-war prosperity, suburban growth, automobiles, television, and changing family life gave pizza the perfect environment to expand. It was affordable, shareable, convenient, and difficult to ruin completely, although several corporations would later accept the challenge. Frozen food companies placed pizza inside supermarkets. Restaurant chains standardized it. Delivery systems brought it directly to American homes. Cardboard boxes replaced plates. Franchise manuals replaced family memory. Advertising turned pizza into birthday food, football food, Friday night food, and the official dinner of people who realized at 7:30 that nobody had purchased groceries. Then pizza crossed more borders. Every country changed it. Japan added seafood and mayonnaise. India added paneer and spices. Brazil built towering combinations of local ingredients. Argentina created its own cheese-heavy traditions. South Korea added sweet potatoes and elaborate crusts. Canada contributed pineapple and then quietly allowed the rest of the world to fight about it. Pizza became global because it could absorb almost anything. It could become local without losing its basic identity. Dough. Toppings. Heat. Everything else remained open to negotiation, argument, and occasional family estrangement. The dish now exists at every economic level. It can be purchased frozen for a few dollars. It can be delivered after midnight. It can be eaten from a paper plate at a child's birthday party. It can be prepared inside a centuries-old oven by a trained Neapolitan pizzaiolo. It can also be topped with truffles, caviar, imported cheese, and edible gold by someone determined to make dinner financially irresponsible. Pizza has been transformed into art, industry, tradition, comfort, business, memory, and marketing. But beneath all of that, the original purpose remains. Pizza feeds people. It feeds workers on short breaks, families gathered around a table, students studying late at night, friends watching a game, travelers exploring a city, children reaching for the slice with the most cheese, and exhausted adults standing over the kitchen sink because using a plate would create another problem. Its success did not come from purity. It came from adaptability. Pizza survived because it changed. It changed when tomatoes entered Naples. It changed when immigrants crossed the Atlantic. It changed inside coal ovens, gas ovens, wood-fired ovens, factory freezers, suburban restaurants, and home kitchens. Every generation altered it. Every region claimed it. Every neighborhood developed rules. And every person became convinced that the pizza they grew up eating was the only version protected by natural law. That argument misses the point. Pizza has never belonged to only one moment. It carries thousands of years of human movement, agriculture, trade, conquest, colonization, poverty, migration, technology, marketing, and the eternal human instinct to place something delicious on bread. The story of pizza is not merely the story of Italian food. It is the story of how ordinary people create culture. The poor developed it. Immigrants preserved it. Workers spread it. Businesses industrialized it. Communities reinvented it. And the world adopted it. Pizza conquered the planet without armies, without governments, without treaties. It arrived in ovens, lunch counters, grocery stores, delivery cars, and cardboard boxes. It succeeded because people recognized something familiar inside it. Bread. Warmth. Comfort. Abundance. A meal that could be divided and shared. The food once associated with poverty in Naples became one of the most successful dishes in history. Not because it escaped its humble origins, because those origins gave it strength. Pizza was never too proud to adapt, never too formal to travel, never too expensive to remain useful. It could feed a dock worker or a queen, a family or an army, a neighborhood or an entire industry. The poor man's food conquered the world. And after thousands of years of bread, migration, invention, and argument, humanity finally agreed on one thing. The last slice belongs to whoever grabs it first.
For more deep dives into hidden history, organized crime, psychology, old Hollywood, dark fairy tales, strange legends, and the stories powerful people would prefer you never examine too closely, subscribe to Bambi Palermo and the Pizzaverse. This is where history gets questioned, myths get shaken down, and even dinner is expected to explain where it came from and who profited along the way. Leave a comment and tell us which part of pizza history surprised you most. Was it the 14,000-year-old flatbread? Europe's suspicion of the tomato? The poverty of Naples? The Queen Margherita legend? The Italian immigrants who carried pizza across the Atlantic? Or the corporations that looked at bread, sauce, and cheese and somehow found room for a franchise agreement? Tell us your favorite style of pizza, your most controversial topping, and which city you believe makes the best slice. Choose your answer carefully. People have ended friendships over less. Stay sharp. Stay skeptical. Stay authentic. This is the Pizzaverse. And we do not miss. To everyone who watches, comments, shares, subscribes, and supports this channel, thank you. Every documentary requires research, writing, editing, narration, patience, historical fact-checking, and at least one moment when somebody realizes they have spent several hours investigating whether a medieval landlord accepted pizza as rent. Your support makes the work worthwhile. To the loyal members of the Pizzaverse, thank you for continuing to question the legends, challenge the official stories, and look beyond the version of history printed on the menu. Thank you to the real ones. Loyalty. Truth. And legacy. We will see you at the next one. The MobTube voodoo doll. Stick it, twist it, and watch the clown cry on livestream. Yo, listen. You ever watch MobTube for more than 5 minutes and think, sweet mother of marinara, these jabronis need a reality check and a wellness check? Well, forget about it, baby. We made the solution. What is it? A hand-stitched, ethically sourced, Pizzaverse-anointed voodoo doll designed specifically for the crybaby keyboard gangsters of MobTube. Looks just like one of them. Receding hairline. Cigarette glued to the lip. Shirt from 1998. Ego bigger than their subscriber count. Built-in whining sound effect if you squeeze it too hard. Perfect likeness. I'm telling you, uncanny. Features. Erstens stress relief pins. Color-coded, because we classy. Red pin, for when they lie on live stream. Blue pin, for when they cry about trolls. Green pin, for the moment they say, yo, I know real guys in the life. Gold pin, the instant they threaten legal action, then go live 6 minutes later. Twin, MobTube meltdown mode. Stick the doll in the ribs. He goes live. Stick it in the head. He posts his screenshots. Stick it in the butt. He blames the haters. Realistic as hell. 3. Soundboard of shame. Press the belly and it yells classics like, "You're jealous of me." I know a guy who knows a guy. My ex, my ops, my trolls, everybody's obsessed with me. I'm calling the cops. High quality audio, slightly nasal. Optional upgrade. The Content Creator Hex Kit comes with a candle that smells like old motel carpets, a notebook filled with excuses, a plastic badge for pretend tough guy moments, a pair of sunglasses for crying indoors, customer reviews, stars when so Big Frank from Bayonne stuck a pin in the foot and the guy went live complaining about toe pain. This thing's accurate. Stars, Angie from Staten Island. Put the doll on my dashboard and suddenly 3 MobTube clowns started fighting each other. Magic. Perfect for stress relief, comedy, ritual dejabrinification, making fun of grown men who live stream like teenagers. The MobTube voodoo doll message because some people don't need enemies. They are the enemy.
Give me groceries and booze. Give me FaceTime with my friends. Give me intravenous news. Little drips of CNN. Give me meditation apps. Text me pictures of your dog. Just give me life. Give me peace. Give me noise. Someone give me fucking zen. Someone give me fucking zen.
Give me space, at least 6 feet. Dig my grave, just as deep. I got sex on my mind all the time. Fuck, scrolling through the internet, time suck. I've been feeling flat like a pancake. I could use a hug or a handshake. I could use some drugs or a band-aid. Cooped up in a hole, I wanna lose all my control. I wanna just go on a rampage. Give me wisdom, give me teeth. Give me vision, let me see. Give me courage to confess. Every night I text my ex. Give me girls, give me boys. Give me life, give me peace, give me noise. Someone
Give me fucking zen. Someone give me fucking zen. Give me fucking zen. I need something to avoid all of my fears and paranoia. Someone give me fucking zen. Yeah. Give me an appetite, give me hope for the afterlife, or a reason to look past tonight. Give me happiness when I found the fame. Give me music that doesn't all sound the same. Give me something that I could look forward to. Give me humans that I could get closer to. You look down at me, but the next thing you know, it's you with the rent overdue. Give me a little bit of piece of your peace of mind. Give me a piece of yours, you'll get the peace of mind. Give me something to do when there's nothing to do, but when I get it, shit, I'll probably just fuck it up too. Give me 2 steps to the left. Give me 1 step to the right. Give me 1 dance with the volume at 10. And someone, anyone, give me fucking zen. Someone give me fucking zen. Give me fucking zen. I need something to avoid all of my fears and paranoia. Someone give me hope for something better. Give me justice for my cries. Tell me we're all in this together, and if we're not, then tell me lies. Give me love, give me Wi-Fi.